We are back officially with playoff basketball here on our draft-only franchise on NBA 2K24. Sorry for the time between episodes here. It took me a while to figure out kind of how I wanted to do these playoff episodes, as well as got some other stuff that I'm working on for the channel. But hoping to seriously increase the pace, hopefully back up to every other day here in the near future, although that will be difficult considering how much time it takes to record each one, because the tempo I've decided to go with in these playoff series going forward here is that I'm going to be playing every game in a single episode until there's an elimination game, and then whatever that first elimination game, it will be the final game of the episode. And just to not clue you in on the result of the game before it even happens, so if we lead 3-0 but then we lose game 4, then game 4 will be the last game of this episode, and we'll have game 5 be an episode all to itself, and the next one, etc. So initially I was planning on doing this with simcast, just kind of simcasting until the fourth quarter of these games, and then if it's close we'll watch the fourth quarter until we get to an elimination game. But just simcasting that much of the playoffs didn't feel right to me, so it's going to take a lot longer to record, but I am going to watch every single game here and show you more condensed highlights of them. And by condensed, I'm hoping somewhere between 10 to 12-ish clips per quarter. Kind of depends on how close the game is. And then again, we'll do that until we get to an elimination game. We'll play that first elimination game, and then whether that's the end of the series or we have more elimination games to come, we'll go from there. Let's hop into game 1. Starting things off with a Sidney Lowry 3 from the corner, right down the barrel. 30 seconds into game 1 here, Malachi Pope follows it up with a 3 of his own. He, of course, really broke out last playoffs, and hoping he can maybe even take it to another level. That would be quite impressive considering how good he was, especially in those last 2 series, but that really sprung him into becoming an all-NBA caliber player this regular season. Now in transition, Lamont Powers pulls up from the mid-range. And we are off to quite the hot start. 18-4 here, about halfway through the quarter, but AJ Griffin making a statement here, all on top of Lamont Powers with the massive slam. Easily the best play for Atlanta in the quarter. And Sebastian Rice, somebody that I was a big fan of coming out of that draft. He was my favorite power forward. Ended up with Ernest Augustine, and now we get to see them face off against each other here in the playoffs. The 3-ball really a main source of offense here in the opening quarter. Often a friend to us throughout this series. Lamont Powers had an easy shot at a dunk, missed it, and it results in an Atlanta 3, a 5-point swing there. Atlanta's down by 10, and here they trim it to single digits with the pick and roll to Sebastian Rice. Lowry, another 3. Puts us back on top by double digits here to end the first quarter. Malachi, he is going to float one right over the top of Smith there. In transition, trying to go up top for Ernest Augustine. And Atlanta once again going to take advantage of a Nashville mistake on a fast break. Davidson, haven't seen him yet. Here he hits that moving mid-ranger. Down the lane. That one is going to be off the mark, but I got to show you this guy's free throw attempt. I mean, what an absolute legend. Evans here. Or Ward. I don't know why I thought his name was Evans. The Hawks do have an Evans, but that's not him. Dennis Ward splits the free throws with his one-hand granny shot. Pope inside, gets it to Mullins. and 1 opportunity for him. Halfway through the second. Griffin now pulls up, and he has been a steady source of offense for Atlanta. Probably really their only one, as we've done a good job keeping their scoring in check in this game. Here we strip Griffin. Running the other way, Lowry finds Moses Moody. Flushes it in for 2. Griffin thought about shooting it, instead found Paulista. Atlanta starting center on the pick and roll. That one is blocked by Ernest Augustine. And I'll tell you, we didn't see all of them, but Ernest Augustine was making some plays defensively here in the first half of game 1. That's just 1 block. He also got a bunch of steals, and here he's getting a lob. What a sequence by Ernest Augustine. Placed in the starting lineup after the Andre Stevens trade, and I certainly liked what I saw in the first half from him for sure. Playing some great defense there. A nice finish on the lob, and here you see Moody in the corner for 3. Up top for Lowry. Perfectly placed pass by Christian Davidson. That's going to lead us to the half here. Malachi Pope leads us, shooting 6 for 8 from the field at the half. Lowry, the only other one in double figures. Like what I saw from Powers as well, scoring 7 in the first half on 5 shots. Atlanta were doing a good job holding their guards, Ward and Evans, to 0 of 4 each. AJ Griffin been their main threat. Let's get into the second half. Ward gonna draw some contact on Lamont Powers and hit the tough layup on top of it. Oh, finds Mullins off glass for 2. From the wing, Evans up top for Rice, but they cannot connect. Running the other way, Powers finds Ernest Augustine. Flushes in for 2 again. Augustine doing a nice job getting to the rim in transition, and now a steal by Pope into an instant 3, and we lead by 20. Griffin beyond the arc. Splashes home another 3. Here he gets a screen from Sebastian Rice. Pick and pop, Rice right over the top of Ernest Augustine. And Rice did have himself a nice little third quarter here, hitting a bunch of shots. And we got showtime for Lamont Powers off the steal. Certainly showing off his athleticism there. Evans driving in, blocked away by A.C. Stevens. Beautiful play by the center. Now we run the other way, and we feed the big man the block into the dunk. Nashville leads by a bunch. Pope. No good, but A.C. Stevens cleans up the board. Rice with it again. He was feeling it this third quarter, and there he pours in another bucket. Nick Smith. All alone from deep. And Atlanta starting to make a little bit of a comeback here in the latter parts of the third. An acrobatic finish there, just kind of floating, it seemed like, from Christian Davidson. Third quarter winding down. Atlanta will tack on a 3. So we once led by 25. Atlanta got it down to 15 ahead of this fourth quarter. Thought we might be simcasting this fourth, but that's not going to be the case, at least to start. Here we see the rookie Phil Bowman with his first bucket here in the playoffs. That was only his second shot of the game as well. Definitely thought he would be a little bit more involved here in game 1, but glad to see his first basket of his playoff career. Also his first basket on this channel, as he had not scored in any of our spotlight games in the regular season. Double coming from Malachi. He dishes it to Bowman off glass from the elbow. You love to see it. Powers gets a screen. Dishes inside for Lowry. Finishes with some flair. Up by 17. Things are starting to look good here for the Nashville Sound, and that one will put us up by 20 or 19, but pretty much 20 with 5 minutes left. We'll simulate the rest of this one because we've got at least 4 games to go through today, so Let's start going through them. Malachi would lead us in scoring today, 9 assists. Did have 4 turnovers, which is a little high. Sidney Lowry, 25, 5, and 8. And with a 20 and 15 from Mullins, still battling through a very minor knee injury, but obviously not affecting him a bunch. 6 assists for Powers, 12 points as well. Great stuff from Ernest Augustine defensively. And overall, great team performance here in game 1. We had 2 Hawks go over 20, Griffin and Rice. And other than that, we did a good job holding a lot of these guys, particularly their guards were inefficient in game 1. And it's a big time victory for the Nashville Sound. On to game 2. Going to pull out the orange uniforms here at home for game 2. Nice job forcing a miss at the hoop there by Francis Mullins. Sidney Lowry pulls up in transition for an easy 2. Now we're feeding Mullins on the inside. He's in the post, spinning and finishing. Ward with it. Kicks it to a wide open Nick Smith. He got the start today after not starting in game 1. Oh, nice job off the dribble. Leaning mid-range shot from the baseline. Lowry guarded well by Nick Smith, but that's the size mismatch being in his advantage there. Smith able to answer it back though. So far, a much closer game right at the start in game 2. A beautiful finish after the spin by Malachi Pope. Stolen away by Powers. Did a nice job creating stuff in transition in game 1, and here's doing more of the same in game 2. Griffin blocked away by Mullins. Beautiful help defense. Gonna get to a Malachi Pope 3. It's no good, but Mullins, even when he's battling through a bit of an injury, always willing to do the dirty work, and you love to see it. Maybe that knee injury coming into play there. Just a little bit behind Paulista in transition, though. Mullins with it. Gonna ISO against Paulista and get the and 1 opportunity. Bowman handling. Stepping back, pumping, and firing over Evans for 2. Here's Bowman bringing the ball up the courts. Finding a man, cutting. Christian Davidson. Down the lane. Slam dunk. Here he gets a screen. Step back 3. Drills it. I mean, a 37-19 first quarter for Nashville. Much like I kind of previewed at the end of last episode, I think this is quite a mismatched series, and so far it's been that way through 5 quarters. Dish inside to Bowman. Doing a nice job using his size to his advantage here. Off glass, beautiful shot there by Anderson. Definitely known more as a shooter, but he can make the occasional nice finish as well. Malachi inside, stolen away by Griffin. Spinning in transition, just a nice shot. Lowry, off the catch, strokes it in for 3. Griffin, pick and roll. Step back jumper, too strong. Paulista on the boards to get the second chance bucket. Pope, now he's blocked by Paulista. A couple of rough possessions for Pope here. And they're leading to Atlanta baskets on the other ends. Offense definitely slowed down for us here in the second quarter of this game. We were heavily reliant on Sidney Lowry threes. I think at this point we had 15 points in the quarter, and 12 of them came on Sidney Lowry threes, if I remember correctly. Lowry this time from the mid-range. Same result. Paulista up top, able to make the finish. Just a 9-point lead for Nashville here with the pick and roll making it 7. Sebastian Rice on the finish. Davidson drills that. Shot off the double screen. Down to 5 seconds remaining in the half. The 3 is good by Nick Smith off the dribble. So it would be a 4-point game at halftime after a very bad offensive second quarter. And nobody other than Malachi Pope was really shooting all that poorly, but just some turnovers and some impatience, I think, in the second quarter allowed Atlanta back in it. But let's see if we can build that lead back up here in the second half. Nick Smith going to get things started with a 3, just a 1-point ball game. Atlanta now looking to take the lead. Going to be a wide open 3 in the corner for Sebastian Rice. And he drilled it. Almost stolen away there, but instead we get a Francis Mullins dunk to tie things back up. Griffin, nice screen there. Just erased the defense from Lamont Powers. Lowry continuing to need his 3 points volume here to really come up with much offense. Beautiful block there by Francis Mullins. Going to force a tough 3-pointer at the end of the shot clock, which won't fall. Now in transition, we're going to find Powers wide open in the corner. That one right down the barrel. Mullins in the post, pumping. Now trying to take Sebastian Rice inside, and he does just that. That'll force an Atlanta timeout as we've climbed back on top by 7. In transition, Powers finds a wide open man on the wing. Malachi for 3. Ward dishes to Paulista. That one's gonna be a made shot on the interior with the AC Stevens foul on top of it. Stevens to Davidson. Great look from deep. Nick Smith driving inside, finding a wide open man. Evans. Sorry, I keep calling him Evans. He's Ward. I don't know why those guys don't even look remotely the same, Evans and Ward, but I do confuse them. So many generated non-real players in this series, which makes sense, 6 years into a franchise. Right down the lane, Sidney Lowry has an easy 2. Wish he would have maybe finished with a little bit more power. But saving your energy, I can respect it. AC Stevens cleans up the Sidney Lowry miss there. Anderson inside. Nice finish. Thought of him as mainly a shooter, but he's shown the ability to score on the interior as well here. Start of the 4th. Malachi Pope drills a 3. Stripped away. That's Francis Mullins' layup attempts. And Anderson, there we go. That's more what I expect from him. Bowman from deep. Left all to his lonesome. And he makes Atlanta pay. Malachi steps back and drills another 3. His shooting has been quite important here in game 2. Mullins just absolutely swats that weak Anderson attempt all the way out of bounds. Excellent rim protection from our big man, but AJ Griffin still hits a 3. Malachi off the screen, this time from the mid-range. We know he can shoot from anywhere on the court. Rims out. That Anderson shot. Malachi in transition. He's scoring again. Nashville building a little bit of a lead all on the back of Malachi Pope, who has a beautiful feed inside to Francis Mullins on that one. Griffin, tough shot over Moses Moody. Gets it to fall. Ernest Augustine, shot clock winding down, needed to come up with something, and that's exactly what he did. Oh, pick and pop with Francis. Big Fro Mullins for 3. Now Lamont with it. going downhill, finding the big man on the interior. I love the unselfishness of this team. Always getting guys open. And when we actually are trying to find good shots, we do so very well. There was a stretch there in that second quarter when we had a bad quarter that I felt like weren't really trying to get good shots, and we allowed Atlanta back into it kind of in that third quarter as well. But ultimately, we do put this team away in the fourth with a strong 41-point quarter, and Sidney Lowry will lead us 33-4. Mullins, this will be the last game he was dealing with a minor injury. 28-14. Awesome. 22-9 from Malachi Pope. Just a great all-around team game once again. You know, we lost Andre Stevens, but I still really like this 9-man rotation. I think they complement each other really well. Almost forgot to go over Atlanta's stats at the end of the game here, and here they are. They had 6 guys in double figures, 2 with 20-plus once more, but not enough. So let's see how they fare at home now for game 3. Going up top for Malachi. Tough finish. Griffin nearly got that steal. Mullins driving it in on Paulista. Nice strong attempt. He's back feeling 100% for this game. And we're going to feed him the rock early here. This time it's blocked by Paulista. Excellent play defensively, and Mullins ends up stepping out of bounds. So Paulista shutting down that possession. Griffin. Nice play designed by Atlanta there to get him an easy basket. Griffin again, this time to Sebastian Rice. No good there. But Tari Eason cleaning up the glass. Pope, defended by Ward. Nice pass inside to Ernest Augustine. Griffin pick and roll with Sebastian Rice. Feeds him on the interior. And Ernest Augustine with another block. I mean, I gotta tell you, I've been impressed with Ernest Augustine's defense. I kind of thought it was a foregone conclusion that this might be his last season with us. But I don't know. I've kind of liked seeing him here in this starting lineup. Christian Davidson ties this one up. Very strong out of the gate here from Atlanta at using that home crowd energy to build a little bit of a lead. And they've been playing some strong defense really ever since quarter 2 of game 2. They've done a nice job making things difficult on our scorers for sure throughout this. Except for maybe the fourth quarter of game 2 when we scored 41. That was certainly our best quarter. But other than that, they've really ramped up their defense. Pope left all alone there. It's going to make you pay more often than not when you do that. Christian Davidson in transition from the corner. Drills the long ball, and Nashville has the lead. Anderson up top for Evans. That's the guy whose actual name is Evans. Ward now in transition. Finds an open spot beyond the arc. Stolen away by Augustine. Pushing the ball in transition. Big throw. Mullins has the easy 2. Malachi with the steal. He's running up the court. Going to take a step back jumper here. Baseline for 2. More great play here in the postseason from Malachi Pope. He's doing a nice job for sure. Maybe a little bit high on the turnovers, but other than that, really impressed with his play. Lowry takes the double screen and gets an open jumper off of it. This is still just a one-possession game as we get to the end of the second quarter. I mean, Atlanta's defense been impressive for sure, but so has ours. You know, Andre Stevens, I thought we would miss him defensively for sure, but I think Ernest Augustine is honestly been at least a better defensive playmaker. He's getting more of the blocks and the steals, I feel like, than I was used to than with Andre Stevens. And our defense is certainly looking good now. Of course, we know there's no real star talent on these Atlanta Hawks, and that could be playing a part of it too, as Ward gets things going here. Start the third quarter. Powers up top, but we've got a lot of length and athleticism for sure in our lineup, even after the Andre Stevens trade. And that is showing up on the defensive side for sure. Augustine strokes from deep. Inside to Paulista. He dunks it right over the top of Mullins. Nice feed there. Ward with it again. Stolen away by Sidney Lowry. Easy 2-on-1 fast break. Leads to the layup from the answer. Smith. Wide open off the DHO. Bowman answers it right back. Nashville building a bit of a lead here in this third quarter with the strong defense helping them out. Coro from beyond the arc. Lowry trying to answer. He does just that. It's a 10-point game. Ward to Easton, pick and pop. I mean, he was all by himself. Lowry with the third quarter coming to a close. Step back in transition. But it would be 76-69 here to start the fourth. This team has been playing very strong in these fourth quarters. Hoping we can continue that here and take a 3-0 lead. But Atlanta with a hot start to begin the period. Moody turns that offensive rebound into 3 points. More transition. Bobe spinning and finishing over the top of Anderson. Alista to Griffin. He's got space to fire. And pours in 3 more for Atlanta. Step back for Mullins. Beautiful shot. Here he gets a catch and shoot look from beyond the arc. Pours in 3 more. Powers in transition, another long ball, and Nashville starting to build a lead once more. Mullins rejects that driving attempt by Nick Smith. Awesome rim protection there from our big man. And then Sidney Lowry on the other end with the emphatic slam all on top of Nick Smith. This is something I was hoping I'd see more of in this series, because he's got a pretty big size advantage here on Nick Smith, but I'll take it whenever I can get it. Nashville running again. Powers finds some space in the mid-range. Here he's taking the 3, and it's drilled once more. Nashville, once again, just a very strong fourth quarter to close out these games. No Atlanta Hawk over 20 points, 5 in double figures for this one. Lowry drops another 30-pointer, and then a 20 and 20 from Francis Mullins here in Game 3. You'll love to see it, a double-double from Malachi Pope as well. And now we get to Game 4, so win or lose, this will be the last game here of this episode. I don't want to spoil the results of the game early by, previewing how much time is left in the game. So if we lose today, Game 5 will be in next episode, and every elimination game will get its own episode until the series is finished. But, of course, I'd rather, if possible, finish the series off today. So let's get into it. Pope just rejected there, probably trying to draw a foul, but can't get one. Step back from the corner. No good, but Sebastian Rice coming off the baseline for a nice hustle play for 2 more. Ward inside, a nice finish, and Atlanta off to a hot start in Game 4. No good from Lowry, but Mullins there to clean it up. Double screen for Lowry. Nick Smith tried to go through the screen early. That's just going to leave Lowry open for three. Griffin to Rice. Nice little two-man action there. Lowry off the screen. Drills the mid-range jump shot. Now it's Pope. He's getting the help defense. You can't sag off, Sid the Kid. Nashville now in the lead. In transition now. Step back from Powers, and he's showing a lot more confidence here in year two in that mid-range jumper, and he got it to go, not 100% of the time, but certainly often enough that it's going to be a big-time threat and something that these teams need to respect. Nashville running again. This time it's Bowman who finds his way down the lane for the slam dunk. Nick Smith up top for Devin Evans. Another guy who's mostly known coming into this game for a shooter, but shown some athleticism. They like to go up top for alley-oops for Evans. Davidson to Lowry. Strong take inside. Going against the center. Ernest Augustine with the ball. It's stripped away. Ball handling certainly not his strength. Evans, a scoop layup in transition. Pope from the mid-range. Left too much space, and you certainly got to love how well our best players can shoot from the mid-range. It really makes this team incredibly tough to guard if you have to defend the entire court with them, you know what I mean? And Ernest Augustine added again with another great defensive play. I mean, he's certainly making the case to be one of the guys that we spend our contracts on. We got to be very selective with these contracts and who we're paying on second deals. My, oh my. Malachi Bowe. But I've certainly liked what I've seen. It'll kind of just depend on what that number ends up needing to be come off-season time. Lowry, tough take. Driving in on Sebastian Rice. Already got 20 points in this game, and Francis Mullins not respected nearly enough there in the mid-range. Off the steal, Davidson finds AC Stevens in transition. Nashville leads by 9 with a minute left here in the quarter. Davidson with the turnover. Atlanta gonna find Griffin on the cut for the easy basket. Powers driving on Griffin. Strong take and able to finish through the foul. Powers, man. You've definitely seen the growth from him between year one and year two. And as we have to start losing players, that's exactly what we need from him. Just a little bit more than what we saw from him in his rookie year. And he's providing that. 9 points here in the first half for him. Sidney Lowry leads all scorers by a wide margin with 22 at the break. But got a 12-point lead here at the half. We're going to extend it a little bit here with that Mullins dunk. Now Lowry gets a good look from deep. Just too easy. Lowry with it. Swings it to Pope. Off the catch. Drains the three. Mullins on the drive. Floats it in. Nice touch for two. I would give 14 to Mullins on the night. Nick Smith able to drill that tough mid-range shot. Lowry just can't guard this guy. Honestly, it's a hopeless mission for the defenses against Sidney Lowry. Is Powers off the inbound. Puts in an easy two. And Malachi. Rare to see him with a dunk. But there we see it as Sebastian Rice. I mean, just an absolutely perfect pass to get it to him. But misses the layup, but gets a second shot at it and makes it count. Powers to Bowman. That three makes it a 32-point Nashville lead. Just an absolute explosion in the third quarter. And we're going to hold Atlanta to just 70 points scored in Game 4, clinching the round 1 sweep. Definitely was a series that I thought we would be able to handle without any problem. And there were times when maybe a couple of these games were in doubt. Games 2 and 3, I think Atlanta played it pretty well. But ultimately, when it came time to close out these games, we did a great job of it. And we take care of business. You know, we were easily the better team here in the series, and it showed. None of these games were within single digits. This team is incredibly good at closing out games and going on the runs when they need to ensure a victory, even if it's not maybe pretty for all 48 minutes every game. Although Game 4 and Games 1 and 4 were pretty good throughout, I'll say. Malachi with another 30-point game. Francis Mullins was just absolutely destroying the boards in this series. For sure. Moody and Davidson didn't shoot that well. Rare to see a 0-point Christian Davidson game. So let's now take a look at the players' stats for this series, just to see how everyone did throughout it. Leading us in points, no surprise here, it's Sidney Lowry. Not quite as many as he had last playoff run, but he's getting a lot of help from Pope and Mullins here, so I think this is probably preferable to keep Lowry around 30 points a game rather than 45 last year, and having Pope and Mullins help that out a bit. Rebounds wise, I mean, Mullins averaging 17 rebounds a game is obviously really impressive. Ernest Augustine gave us 4.5 in the starting lineup as well. Assists wise, Malachi Pope at 8.8, really good as well. Lowry giving us 6. The one thing with the assists is Pope seemed to be turning the ball over a lot more than we're used to. Just, you know, that 2-to-1 assist to turnover ratio, we're used to that being well above 3, honestly. So hopefully that can get better as the playoffs go along, because we did turn the ball over a little bit more than I'd like to, including Mullins with 2 turnovers a game. Steals wise, we did really well getting in the pass lanes here, and blocks, Mullins far and away led us there. In terms of field goal percentage, Moses Moody was not very good in this series, averaging just 3 points a game, shooting under 40%, only shooting about, you know, not even 3 shots a game, so it's not truly hurting us, but maybe Moses Moody is starting to play his last stint with us. Now, that will all depend on what we can do with Davidson, because there's just no way we can lose both Moody and Davidson. Those are kind of the only guards that we have coming off the bench, so we have to keep one for sure. But obviously the priority would be placed on Davidson in this scenario, who's the only other player who has shot below 50%. Is on much higher shooting, but 44% certainly isn't bad. I'm more worried about him shooting less than 30% from deep. 3-point shooting is a calling card of his, so if he's shooting 7 attempts a game, I want higher than 30% going forward. And then everyone else shot at least 50%. Liked what I saw from Bowman in my first real extended time watching him. I think he'll be a solid piece in our rotation, at least throughout his rookie contract. We'll see what he's asking by the time that's done, but you know, that's way in the future. Not concerned about it at all right now. Malachi continues to be insanely efficient, shooting 63% and 60 from deep in this series. This guy, I mean, continues to impress as his career goes along. He's an incredible player, and I think about as good as you could possibly hope for a number 2 option on a team. And I think, honestly, he's very much so worthy of being a number 1. So Last thing I wanted to do is just kind of go over the team stats, kind of where we ranked in the first round. So we were 4th in the league in points per game in the first round. In terms of points allowed, we had the 2nd best defense behind only the Sonics, allowing just 94 points a game. Our difference was the best, with the Spurs right behind us. Field goal percentage wise, I mean, we're always going to lead here. That's just kind of the nature of the sliders that we use. I will say I like the sliders where they're at right now a lot more than last postseason, excuse me. Just feels like if you don't actually try to get good shots, you're going to have cold stretches like we did see at times in this series. Shooting threes, we were 2nd. The Spurs are shooting insane from 3. As a team, they're over 45%. My gosh, we're going to be like the lowest here. Yeah, us and the Hawks. Just not a lot of simulated free throws, unfortunately. Offensive rebound percentage, probably not something we're strong in. 2nd worst. That's kind of I think just a factor of us really only having good rebounding at the center position. Defensive rebound percentage, we're actually number 1 though. So offensive rebound percentage, that's kind of an added bonus, but defensive rebound percentage is where you really want to shine, and our team does that for sure. In terms of assists, we're the 4th best from the first round. Total rebounds, it's going to be low just because, again, the way this game simulates in the spotlight games. Leading in steals. And in blocks, we are towards the bottom. We're only number 11. In terms of turnovers, we are 2nd best. And we are the best by far in converting points off of turnovers. Second chance points, really low. Points in the paint, top 5. Bench points, not really where we shine. We lean heavily on our starters and our stars here in the postseason. So we allowed the 5th highest percentage. Again, just kind of a factor of the simulation. Our defense was awesome here in the first round, holding the Hawks to just 33% from 3, despite the fact that those percentages get boosted by our sliders. So that is pretty much it for the first round. Giving a quick preview of the second round. It is a rematch from the Eastern Conference Finals going up against the Indiana Pacers. They have made some changes from last year. They'll have 2 new starters, and they'll be starting, you would assume, at least Julius Randle and Devin Vassell, 2 guys that were not on the squad last year, and 2 guys that I think improved are improvements over what they had last year. I think Vassell can certainly be a secondary scorer on the perimeter. I mean, Kelly Oubre gave us problems in this series last year. I think Vassell's an improved version of Oubre, who can play some defense as well. And that's pretty much it for their changes from the team we saw last year. I mean, they lost Miles Turner, was their one big loss, but I think adding Vassell and Randle for Miles Turner is an overall net positive for this team. Lonnie McNeil, somebody that I was really fond of in the draft, thought he would have made an excellent backup center for us, ends up going to Indiana, and we'll see him most likely here in this series. Likely gonna do that series pretty similar to what we saw against Atlanta, but if you would rather see a different style of pacing, for sure, let me know. But that will wrap up this episode of our Nashville Sound franchise. We'll be back soon with another, and until then, sound up.